Yo, what's going on, man? This is your boy, Super Mario, man, and you are in the yo with your boy, man. Today, we're going to be talking about the NN-Nano Sampler inside of the Cone Drum Designer and Reason Studios or whatnot, man. I'm doing this video for one of my subscribers, DL, man. Shout out to you, man. I told you I was going to get to the video, so here we are, man. Basically, I'm going to show you how to get to the essentials of NN-Nano Sampler and how you kind of navigate and what you can do inside of it as well, man. It's super simple. There's no complexity to the sampler, but it's very effective and it's very powerful in what you can do in it with Cone Drum Designer or whatnot. So let's go ahead and navigate over to Reason Studios and look inside the Cone Drum Designer and pull up the NN-Nano Sampler. So here we are, we're in the Cone Drum Designer. We have all our pads right here. And if you're kind of familiar with the Cone Drum Designer, like each of these pads have, they're pretty much the same and everything like that. Over here in the left, in this kind of like this amber looking window right here is your pad controls. And then your pad settings and assignments and hit types and pad groups and mute solo and clear sample. All of that is over here to the right, and you have your master level up here at the top. Now the hit type is going to work in conjunction with the NN-Nano Sampler, so we'll get to that a little bit later. But when you click on any pad, you'll notice that at the bottom left, and if you don't see this window, it probably would be hidden because it's a little drop down arrow button right there at the bottom left corner. It says show drum and effects. So when you choose your pad, you want to click on that right there, and that'll show the drum module, the effect slots, be it bus effect slots and master effect slots as well. We're going to focus on the drum module because the NN-Nano Sampler is a drum module inside of Cone Drum Designer. Now what you want to do is basically hit the drop down, or should I say the arrow down button on drum module, and you'll have a list of different modules that you could choose. And the first one that we're going to talk about is the NN-Nano Sampler, and the only one we're going to talk about this evening. All right, cool deal. So when we pull that up, you will have the NN-Nano Sampler right up there. Now, right out the bat, it looks like a smaller version of a NNXT sampler, which is the default device inside of Reason, which is the OG sampler that's been around since Reason 2.0 and earlier and stuff like that, man. So it's an OG sampler, and it's still functional till today or whatnot. But the NN-Nano Sampler, hence it's a micro version of that. That's why you have the nano adjective on the sampler. So basically this layout of the NN-Nano Sampler is very basic. You have your little section right here where you can choose your samples or even sample inside of the Nano Sampler. So the sample input that you'll normally see at the top of Reason, which is in this orange section right here at the very top, this is your sample input. So anything or any audio that you're running through the sample input, you can sample right here on this button that has the waveform. That's where you can bring in signal, sample whatever you want inside of the Nano Sampler. And then this folder button is where you can pull up the browser window to browse all of your samples, wherever you got those. And then once you load up a sample, then you can hit the arrow up and down keys to find samples at your leisure. All right, so we're going to move over here to the left, and you can see this button right here is your polyphony button, which kind of will basically choose this mode, polyphony mode, of how you're going to play the keys. So whether it's monophonic, if it's exclusive hits, or even if it's a full hit of the sample, you can choose that. So a lot of times you can hit the sample and you can get like a monophonic. So basically it will play until you let off the pad. That's what the monophonic would do. But it just basically depends on if your sample is a loop or a drum loop or one shot. So it all just depends on how you're going to choose your different modes for your polyphony. But that's where you could choose that. All right. You have your mod wheel controls here. You have your velocity controls here. And now the velocity controls can kind of basically choose how you're going to, the expression of the sample when you're playing it on the pad. You have your pitch controls right here. You have your oscillator control. Now the oscillator control is going to choose your sample start in what they call in frames. And that's going to go in conjunction of the sample start of your sample that you load in in the hit sample slot right here. So if you have a sample, let's say a one shot and it's a voice shot, like a voice, that sample start, it'll go voice, voice, source, and stuff like that. So you can choose when that sample is going to start, and you can even reverse that sample right here in the oscillator section. And then you have your amp envelope section, which control the attack, the decay of the sample, the decay roll off, or is this mode right here, and then the level of the sample here as well. Now, as you can see in this blue box is where the sample slots are. Now you have 4 sample slots, or what they call the hits, right here. So you have 4 hits or sample slots, and then when you load a sample in each of these slots or hits slots, whatnot, you can adjust the velocity of each sample. So if you only want like a 1 through 50 velocity hit, you could choose that on one of your samples. And let's say, for instance, you choose sample 2 or hit 2, and that's the same sample, then you can have a higher velocity hit. So it just depends on the sample, the expression of the sample, and how you want to play that. You can definitely adjust that there. You can adjust the level here, the pitch here, and then you can even rename your sample, or what they call hit name, right here as well. And then these buttons at the top is you can add a layer, or you can layer your samples in each of your hit slots or sample slots. You can remove the layer, and then you can edit the sample for each hit slot as well. So it may look like it's not a lot, but this thing is very powerful, and I'm gonna give you a little snapshot of that. So let's go ahead and try to find a sample. All right, so what we're gonna do is go ahead and hit the browser folder button here, and we're gonna go hunt for a sample. All right, and we're gonna go and look on my hard drive and see what we can find here. And we're gonna go to my drum folder. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and choose this drum break right here. All right, what we're gonna do next is play that pad, just to confirm that the drum break is there. All right, so let's say, for instance, on that sound right there, we only wanted the kick. Okay, now what you could do is adjust the amp envelope and adjust the decay. And now you got the kick. You see what I'm saying? And if you want to make that kick softer, you can adjust the attack here. So it just depends on what you're trying to do right there. Now, remember what I was telling you about with the oscillator and everything like that. So your sample start, that's going to be your sample start. So let's say, for instance, we play that. You wanted that snare, you can adjust the samples start. All right. Now, the thing of it is, every time we hit that pad, it's going to continue to hit it play. So it's just going to play out the sample. And then when you hit it again, it's going to play out the sample. So you're going to get a ever revolving hit of this audio sample. So if you don't want that, you have to change your polyphonic mode to monophonic. And it's always going to restart itself without playing the whole loop. That's the snare. So if you want that snare, you adjusted the sample start. And then if you just want that snare hit, you adjust the decay. And you see how we have a little bit tailed off. You can hit the mode button or the mode switch, and it has kind of like a fade out. You can hear that fade out. If you want it to end abruptly, just hit the switch up. And boom, there you go. All right. So that's basically it right there, man. Another good thing is when you right click on pad 1, you can copy that drum pad and you can put it on pad 2, paste drum patch. Now on pad 2, you know what I'm saying, you have the same thing that you have on pad 1. So that's another thing that you could do. And when you right click on each pad, you can copy, or you can browse your drum patches as well as such right there. All right, cool deal. We're going to go back to drum or pad 1 right here. Now that is the controls right there. Super easy and very simple. If you want to get very detailed in there, what you can do is hit the edit sample button. And what this is going to do, you got to make sure that your hit sample is selected. You hit the edit sample button and a window is going to pop up. Okay. Now this is the loop that we loaded in. Okay. Now everything that we adjusted is right here. Now it's not going to show what we did with the sample start on the isolator knob or the decay. This is basically starting from scratch. Okay. So we'll just basically have to reset our values here. So let's hit cancel real quick. Let's reset our values. All right. And put that mode back. All right. So we just confirming that we have our whole sample. We can hit edit sample here. And that's what we'll be seeing this whole, well, what we're hearing is what we're seeing right here. Okay. And then if we want to audition it. Okay. So let's say, for instance, I wanted this hit right here. What we'll have to do is adjust the sample start in this window right here. So just think of this window right here as being kind of like the recycle, propeller heads recycle. Just think of it that way. You have to adjust the sample start right here, and then you can adjust the end, and then bam. So everything in between the start and the end is what you're going to play on pad 1. Okay, so there it is. Now in this window, what you can do is you can rename, you can adjust the volume, and you can even change the root key of that snare drum. So if I drop it down to, let's say, A#2, it'll save that way or whatnot, but you won't hear audible difference. Okay. You can change the loop mode, so you can have it where it'll repeat itself over and over and over, or loop forward, or just a one shot. All right. You can reverse the sample. All right. Reverse it back. You can normalize the sample if you want full volume at 0 dB, and you can actually crop this. So if you don't want to deal with anything else, you can go ahead and crop that. Boom. Now you got that one shot and you don't have to worry about the drum loop. Okay. But if you don't want that because you want to, let's say, for instance, copy pad 1 to pad 5, then you probably won't want the whole drum loop, because let's say you will probably want to take this little hit right here. And I'll give you an example of that a little bit later. All right. So let's say, for instance, we like that. We're going to rename that drum break snare. And we hit save. Boom. There we go. Boom. There's just like that. All right. So I'm going to copy drum patch and I'm going to put it on, let's say, 5 right here. All right. And then on pad 5, I can go back in that edit sample window and make an adjustment right here. All right. And now when I play pad 5, we got a softer snare. See how it kind of works? All right. And then we'll just put 2 there and we'll hit save. Boom. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how you will kind of, dibba dab in the edit sample or whatnot. We're going to go back to pad 1. Now, let's say we wanted to add a layer. If we hit add a layer, you will see that it'll have a little break right here underneath drum break snare. And you can add another, let's say, sound, for example. All right. So if we was to go ahead and hit the folder there, if we want that snare sound right there, we can add that in there. And when we hit pad 1, you hear both sounds. And right here, whatever you have highlighted, you can adjust the volume level. So we can bring that down a little bit and even pitch it up. And that is on each layer. And then we can even adjust the velocity on that layer as well. So if we want this layer to come in on a harder hit, all we have to do is just adjust the low right here next to the VEL dot, short for velocity. We adjust it up, let's say at about 100 velocity, all the way up to the highest point of the velocity, which is 127. Now I'm playing the pad softly. You can hear that other snare. But when I hit it hard, you'll actually hear it. So that's what they mean by, you know what I'm saying, the different hits or whatever the case may be. All right. Cool deal, man. So that is hit 1. Okay. Right there. I'm going to keep it like that because we're going to go to hit 2 and just highlight that. You'll notice when we go to hit 2, we still hear hit 1. What you got to do is go to hit type and click on hit type 2. And then when we hit pad 1, you don't hear anything. That's because we haven't loaded up a one shot or a loop on hit 2. So what we're going to do is go find a loop or a sound. We're going to choose that one. All right. All right. Now we got a snare right there, and you can repeat that process of what we did on hit 1. Okay. And let's say, for instance, I wanted to add an effect on there. It's simple as just adding an effect. Hit the arrow down button, and you can choose whatever effect you want. Let's say I wanted to take that ring out of there. I choose a parametric. Find your frequency. And boom, hit the filter type. Now you got your own custom snare right there. All right. And it's as simple as, if you want to play that snare, cool. If you want to go back to hit 1, just hit 1 right there. And you're back at hit 1. Now, when you're changing the hit types, just be mindful that when you, let's say, for instance, put it back on hit 2 and you go back to pad 2, the hit types are basically exclusive to each pad that is selected in blue. So just keep that in mind right there. All right. So whatever you do on pad 1 is just going to be exclusive for your hit types. So that's very, very powerful and very, very customizable as well, and stuff like that. So another thing I kind of want to go into detail is when you hit this little button right here at the bottom right corner of the hit type, that will be your pad hit assignment. So let's say, for instance, we got drum 1 and we go back to hit 1 here. We can go to pad 2, quickly assign different hit types for each pad. Okay. So that's very, very exclusive. Okay. Let's say, for instance, we got drum 1 here. All right. We can go to drum assignments, and then we can assign drum pad 5 to drum 1. You see what I'm saying? So now pad 1 is the assignment. Pad 1 sound is on pad 5 by way of assignment. But if I put it back on pad 5 for as the assignment, we're back at the original sound that we had on pad 5. So it takes a little bit of getting used to what it does. But what will help you out is if you hit these little Q buttons, which is called the quick edit mode buttons, right next to the drum assignment, pad group, hit type, and pad settings. It'll help you out visually to understand what you're doing right there. So drum 1 assignment, put it on pad 5, and you can see the colors coincide. And you can see here pad 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth, so on. And you can change it however the matrix that you want, or whatnot. So that's basically it in a nutshell. And you can just go back to pad 1 and you can repeat the process. So you can have up to, I want to say 4 different samples in here. And then with each layer, I want to say you can have 3 layers on each hit sample. So in essence, you can have up to 12 different audio files in one instance of Nano Sampler on each pad. So that is a lot of flexibility that you can get different type of custom sounds out of. So you can, you know what I'm saying, program your drum beats in Cone Drum Designer or whatnot. And of course, if you need bus effects, you just choose a bus effect here. Let's say we choose reverb. We got pad 1. We could just basically go to the drum 1 controls and then adjust the send for bus effects. And we got reverb. Okay, and we'll just bring that down on drum 1, just like that, and you have your own custom sound. Another thing I want to mention is drum output. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to throw this in there real quick. So on each pad, if you don't know, on each pad you can assign a drum output. So right now, pad 1 is assigned to the master effects, okay, but you can also assign it to the bus effects. You can assign it to the main output 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, 13, 14, and 15, or whatever the case may be. Okay, and to get to those outputs, if you were to tab on the backside of the Kong Drum Designer, these are all your outputs right here. So every pad right now is going out through the main audio out. But if you wanted pad 1 to go out on, let's say, 3 and 4, so you could do external processing, you could do that and just basically create an audio track or a mix channel or audio track, and you could take the output from pad 1 through the output of pad 1 through audio out 3 and 4 to your mix channel. All right, so just to show you that real quick, add a mix channel 3 and 4 into the input of the mix channel, and you can see on the mix channel down here, it's showing you input patch 3 and 4 coming from pad 1 by way of the output 3 and 4. All right. And you can do further processing without relying solely on FX slot 1 and FX slot 2. All right. So just wanted to show you guys that little bit right there as well. So that's just kind of like the flexibility that the Kong Drum Designer can provide to you by way of the NN-Nano Sampler. Very powerful tools inside the Kong Drum Designer. So when it comes to the NN-Nano Sampler, it is a very, very flexible tool that you can utilize, and you know what I'm saying, you can just really have fun with it or whatnot. So that is pretty much the quick rundown of the NN-Nano Sampler and the essentials of the rundown as well, man. If you got any questions, man, feel free to email me. And you know what I'm saying, if you like this content, subscribe to this channel, like the video, and you know what I'm saying, get you on the rebound, man. So this has been your boy Super Mario, man. Stay tuned for the next video, and as always, stay creative out there, keep your head on the swivel, and catch you on the next video, man. Peace.